The S26 Ultra is finally in the house. Now, you probably heard that its cameras got only a tiny spec bump over the Galaxy S25 Ultra, but seeing is believing. So we're pitting it against its main rivals, the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, to see if the shiny new Galaxy flagship can take the throne in this ultimate camera showdown. Hey, I'm Olive, your host here at Versus.com, and thanks to Pitaka for sponsoring this video. Oh, and remember that you can join our community by hitting the join button below for exclusive videos and perks. And here's a massive shout out to our newest Ultra members, Deving, Michael, and Supersman. For our camera comparisons, we always hand out points. The max score depends on how many phones are in the mix, and since we've got a trio of Titans today, the highest score for any category is 3. And to keep things 100% fair and accurate, we always evaluate every photo and video on a professional calibrated monitor. Now, a lot of people are gonna say the S26 Ultra looks exactly like the S25 Ultra, but that's not 100% true. We've actually got a new form factor with rounder corners that make it feel more like the iPhone and the Pixel in the hand. The camera island now also has a raised housing, similar to what we saw on the Galaxy S25 Edge. Plus, punchy new colors, but we still don't have magnets on the back. Even the Pixel finally added them last year, so Samsung skipping on this is easily one of our biggest letdowns. But thankfully for you, Pitaka comes to the rescue to give you exactly what Samsung refused to put on this year's flagship. This is Pitaka's brand new case lineup for the Galaxy S26 series, and it is fire. First up, we have the Edge case, which depending on the Galaxy you buy for, can be as light as 21 grams and just 1 millimeter thin. It's so slim and light that honestly, it doesn't even feel like your phone has a case on it at all. Then there's the Cairn case. For those of you who might have slippery hands, I see you. This one is built for the rugged life with a TPU structure and military-grade drop protection from up to 4 feet. Both are crafted from aerospace-grade aramid fiber, which is 5 times stronger than steel, but still looks super sleek. Just look at that weave. And unlike Samsung, Pitaka is giving you full MagSafe compatibility. Now you can snap on any magnetic accessory you can think of. But the absolute star of the show is the Aaron button system. 3 programmable physical buttons that can do whatever you want. Launch your favorite apps, trigger your smart home routines, or start a recording with just 1 click instead of digging through a million menus. Plus, the freshly released Aaron button app has a ton of presets to make your setup even smoother. You can get this high-tech style for either the S26, S26 Plus, or S26 Ultra for $59 for the Edge case or $69 for the Cairn case. Go get a closer look at these with the link in the description. Trust me, I also hate seeing scratches on my brand new phone. Alright, where were we? Oh yeah. So as always, we'll start off with standard wide photos, as we feel that's the mode people use most frequently. The Galaxy is rocking the same 200 megapixel sensor we saw on the S25 Ultra, while the iPhone is bringing 48 megapixels and the Pixel lands at 50. However, Samsung leveled up the aperture this time, moving to a much wider f1.4 compared to f1.7 on last year's model. The iPhone and the Pixel trail slightly behind in that department. As for the sensor size, they're all neck and neck, though the iPhone still holds onto a tiny lead. Honestly, all 3 of these phones are top-notch with top-tier dynamic range, whether you're shooting directly into the sun or have the light hitting your subject perfectly. The level of detail is just wild. The Pixel stands out from the pack though because it loves to make blues pop a bit too much and leans into heavy magenta tones, giving shots that iconic Pixel look. Both the Galaxy and the iPhone look really similar, even in indoor scenarios, while the Pixel once again shows some color shifts, leaning more toward rather inaccurate colder tones. So moving on to a few ultrawide examples, Ultrawide is a great mode for capturing more of the scenery in your shots. For the ultrawide lenses, we're looking at 50 megapixels on the Galaxy and 48 megapixels on both the iPhone and the Pixel. The Pixel technically gives you a slightly wider field of view, but sensor sizes are pretty much a 3-way tie across the board. In the real world, the first thing that jumps out is that the iPhone's ultrawide is definitely tighter than the Galaxy or the Pixel's. Plus, Apple's processing really cranks up the structure, which makes things look a little too over-sharpened for our taste. On the flip side, it definitely definitely has the best dynamic range of the bunch, keeping those aggressive highlights totally in check. The Galaxy and the Pixel definitely hold their own, but the Galaxy can sometimes make the sky look super saturated, and when you head inside, the Pixel once again goes all in on a cold white balance that can look far too intense. We've reached the zoom category, so let's see which one impresses the most. Samsung is bringing some novelties in the zoom department this year. We still have a dual setup, a 10 megapixel telephoto with 3x optical zoom, plus a 50 megapixel telephoto with 5x optical zoom. And yup, it's actually a straight telephoto now, moving away from the periscope design. But just like the main sensor, Samsung widened the aperture to give us better low-light performance. Meanwhile, both the iPhone and the Pixel are rocking 48 megapixel periscope lenses, with Apple giving you 4x optical and Google pushing it to 5x. Check out how the Galaxy's 3x optical zoom stacks up against the competition, and then here's that 5x lens stepping in to level the playing field. Now, once you push things to 10x digital zoom, the Galaxy starts looking a little too crunchy with that over-sharpening, while the iPhone and the Pixel stay much more natural. By the time you hit 20x, they all start looking pretty similar, even with the colors. But at the maximum digital zoom distances, the iPhone gets left in the dust with only 40x digital zoom. Both the Galaxy and the Pixel can push it to 100x, but the Pixel scores an easy win thanks to ProRes Zoom, which uses AI to generate detail out of thin air, and honestly, the results are pretty believable. It's time for portrait mode, so let's see which one of these gives us the most accurate details and the most realistic bokeh. In these first shots at 1x zoom, the Galaxy and the iPhone look super similar at first glance, but interestingly, the Galaxy handles highlights way better this time around, which makes skin tones look incredible, plus the edge detection is totally on point. On top of that, Samsung gives you way more room to play since you can snap portraits at either 3x or 5x with actual optical zoom quality. The iPhone takes the silver medal for us here, leaving the Pixel in last place. Honestly, 1x shots on the Pixel are fine, but it's just ridiculous that you can't use the telephoto for zoomed portraits. You're stuck with 3x digital zoom, and the results look kinda deep fried. There's no excuse for bad video quality in 2026. So let's put these beasts to the test and see which one gives us the best results. With the main camera, the Pixel is capped at 4K 60 FPS, the iPhone hits 4K 120 FPS, and the Galaxy pushes all the way up to 8K 30 FPS. And yes, we know the Pixel has video boost for 8K video, but you and I both know that's not something you're getting straight out of the camera. As a note, all videos you'll see here are shot at 4K 30 FPS when available. For the main camera, the iPhone has the best overall dynamic range, especially in backlit shots. And although it can look pretty warm at times, it still has the most accurate colors overall. The Galaxy has nice contrast and generally pleasing colors, but it can lean slightly magenta. And the Pixel struggles a bit more with overexposure in backlit scenes and tends to desaturate colors quite a lot, which can make the footage look flatter than the other two. All three support portrait video, but the maximum resolution takes a massive hit on the Pixel, dropping to only 1080p 24 FPS. The Galaxy and the iPhone are much better since they can both handle 4K 30 FPS. Interestingly, all three look solid here, with only minor differences in exposure and color, while the Galaxy once again has the most contrast. When it comes to edge detection, all of them do a pretty decent job. Even the Pixel's 1080p limitation is not actually that noticeable, although it is still a drawback. For ultrawide video, both the iPhone and the Pixel cap at 4K 60 FPS, while the Galaxy once again can go all the way up to 8K 30 FPS. The iPhone has the best dynamic range in some scenes, although it does struggle a little with overexposure when dealing with very bright lights. The Pixel once again looks the most washed out and also has a harder time controlling overexposure in bright scenes. The Galaxy delivers pleasing colors, but its dynamic range could still be better. Buttery smooth video footage is absolutely crucial, so let's check out that stabilization. For walking vlog footage, all three phones do a good job overall. The iPhone and the Galaxy look the most stable, while the Pixel is the least stable of the three, but it is still totally usable and does not ruin the shot by any means. However, once we switch into the action modes and start running for our lives, the Galaxy keeps recording in 4K, while the iPhone drops to 2.8K and the Pixel goes all the way down to 1080p, which is definitely noticeable. Still, when it comes to stability and smoothness, all three do a really good job. One standout feature on the S26 Ultra is the new Horizon Lock option, which keeps your footage level no matter how you move the phone. So even if your handling gets a little wild, the video still stays nicely aligned. The Motorola Edge 2023 definitely knows a thing or two about that.
It's time to test the front camera out, which means it's time to take some selfies. Let's see which one of these makes me look the best. Also, I'll be testing out video and audio.
On this side, we've got a 12 megapixel shooter on the Galaxy, a 18 megapixel setup on the iPhone featuring that unique square sensor, and a 42 megapixel sensor on the Pixel. Once again, all three deliver solid quality, though you'll definitely notice the Galaxy has a tighter field of view compared to the others, but on the flip side, it handles highlights the best. It also takes the crown for indoor shots with the most natural white balance, but the second the lights go out, that lead just evaporates. Low light shots on the Galaxy come out looking super blue, while the iPhone leans a bit too warm and the Pixel, shocker, goes heavy on the magenta. We're calling this a three-way tie since each one has its own specific strengths and quirks depending on where you're standing. Moving on to video with these same selfie cams, you're looking at a max resolution of 4K 60 FPS across the board. This caught us totally off guard, but the Galaxy struggles the most here. It might just need a software patch, but the video looks pretty soft and has some distracting exposure jumps. The Pixel steps it up a notch, but I think we can all agree that the iPhone looks the best and as crisp as a Takis Fuego.
So now let's test out the audio on all of these devices, and we'll start off over here with the latest Galaxy. What do you guys think? How do I sound? Is the sound any better? Moving on, we have the iPhone. Does it sound better than the Galaxy? What do we think? And then we move on to the Pixel. Is it better than the other two? I'm in a relatively, quietish area, but there are some cars. How's it handling that?
So as you heard, the Galaxy and the iPhone sound very alike, and it's genuinely hard to tell them apart. With both of them, my voice sounds clear and upfront, but they also pick up a lot of background noise, which could be an issue in noisier settings. The Pixel does a better job of cutting out that background noise, although the trade-off is that it can sound a little more muffled.
Slow-mo is not a necessity to have on your smartphone, but it's definitely a cool feature, so let's check it out.
You can expect a max resolution of 4K at 120 FPS on both the Galaxy and the iPhone, while the Pixel taps out at 1080p, but cranks the frame rate up to 240 FPS. Now, if you want to get as slow as possible, all three can hit that 240 FPS mark, but you will have to settle for 1080p on the Galaxy and the iPhone to get there. Altogether, the Galaxy just looks the best across both modes, giving you great shadow detail at 4K and keeping things sharp when you switch to 240 FPS.
It's time to get up close and personal, so let's dive into macro mode.
When it comes to macro shots, the Pixel and the iPhone can get closer to the subject than the Galaxy, which helps them capture a bit more fine detail. That said, all three struggle slightly when it comes to locking in the correct white balance.
Finally, let's take a look at a few low light examples and see how each one of these devices handles darker conditions.
In low light with the main camera, the iPhone makes the best use of dynamic range and also delivers the most natural warm tones. The Galaxy handles bright lights fairly well too, but unfortunately, it introduces quite a lot of noise and also shows a strong blue tint at the bottom of the frame. The Pixel does not control exposure quite as well, but it does a nice job with shadows and manages to hold onto a good amount of detail. With the ultrawide camera, both the Samsung and the iPhone get the white balance pretty close to the real scene. The iPhone, however, pushes the shadows a bit too much, so it ends up losing quite a bit of detail in the sky. The Galaxy holds onto more detail, but you do notice some visible noise and the sky colors are not fully accurate. The Pixel falls behind the most here, completely missing the colors and also looking heavily over-sharpened. In portrait mode, things are a bit all over the place. The Pixel actually looks the best at first when it comes to color accuracy and sharpness, but then the edge detection lets it down. The iPhone, on the other hand, looks a little little washed out and has quite a bit of noise, but its edge detection is clearly the best one here. As for the Galaxy, even after multiple takes, it just looks straight up blurry and has a pretty strong yellow tint. With the telelenses, we have no clue what's happening behind the scenes, but the 3x lens on the Galaxy looks like straight up hot garbage. There are some random blurry patches all over the shot. But then you switch over to the 5x zoom lens and it pulls a total Uno reverse, delivering the best shot of the three. Still, we can't forgive that 3x zoom shot, so it doesn't get 3 points in this category. These are videos filmed with the main cam at a park with really warm lighting. The pixel overcorrected the whole scene, sucking the color right out of the footage. The Galaxy stayed way truer to what our eyes were actually seeing, but it also looks a little soft. The iPhone, however, nailed those artificial light colors and kept the highlights from blowing out, making it the most reliable of the bunch here. Wrapping up with ultrawide video, the Pixel is lacking any sort of contrast. I mean, yeah, technically you can see the most detail in the shadows, but the whole image looks super flat. On the flip side, the iPhone is incredibly dark and has some very heavy vignetting. The Galaxy isn't perfect, but delivers the best balance of the three. Alright, let's do a quick summary and see who the winner is. Our scoring system is based on order of importance, giving higher percentages to more popular categories like wide, ultra-wide, portrait, and video, while assigning lower percentages to less popular categories such as audio, zoom, slow motion, and macro. For example, in photos taken with the wide lens, the Galaxy scored 3 general points, with 20% of this equaling 0.6 final points, and so on with the next phones and categories. So breaking it down, the Galaxy and the iPhone tie in main camera photos as well as in ultra-wide shots, while the Pixel clearly wins in the zoom department. For portraits, the Galaxy easily takes the win. In video modes, the iPhone scores the highest, but only by 1 point over the Galaxy. For stabilization, it is a tie between Apple and Samsung, and when it comes to the front camera, the iPhone is your best bet. Audio is a 3-way tie, while slow motion goes to the Galaxy. Macro is once again a tie between all three, and finally, in low light, the iPhone swoops in for the win. Ready for the grand finale? Coming in third place, we've got the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL. Look, it's still an absolute beast for still photos, but we're still waiting for a substantial video upgrade because right now, the Galaxy and the iPhone are just playing in a completely different league. That means taking the crown in first place is the iPhone 17 Pro Max, which leaves the Galaxy S26 Ultra snagging a very respectable second place. The Galaxy is getting dangerously close to the iPhone in almost every category, especially in video, where Apple usually reigns supreme. So while it landed in second today, it's closing that gap. And with a few software updates, we might have a new overall champ on our hands. If you want to see our deep dive review on these flagships, you will find that right here on the channel. In the meantime, let's get a debate going in the comments. Which one are you picking? And please keep it constructive. Oh, and if you want to grab any of these for yourself, you can find direct links to all three in the description below. And before you go accuse us of being biased in the comments, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video and hit subscribe, as we're always testing new devices to help you make the best choice. We'll see you in our next video, and until then, take care.
Muévelo, muévelo, muévelo. Muévelo, 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 muévelo. En la calle somos jefes. Money, 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 money.